This is Democracy Watch. So, Mark, Kari Lake and Mike Lindell, our favorite folks, are trying to get in front of the Supreme Court right now. Can you speak about what their plan is and how likely this is to happen?
Oh, this is definitely not going to happen. I mean, their plan is insane. I mean, I kind of wish they'd kind of pull it off in a way because it would be so entertaining, but it's not going to work. I mean, Mike Lindell first said he had a big announcement and he was going to go to the Supreme Court in person. Then I think someone may have told him that actually you don't file on paper in the Supreme Court, you electronically file. So he didn't go in person. But this is joining forces between crazy and mega crazy, right? It's like MAGA crazy. It's just, I mean, it is so stupid. And the idea that Republicans and the Donald Trump acolytes follow these people, it's just like mind-boggling.
So what is the case that they're trying to push up to the Supreme Court? What does that actually focus on?
Okay, case is a little bit of a strong word. Like
what is the loosely
what is the suggestion? Papers. Okay, they file papers. So what the papers are is a further effort by Kari Lake and now Mike Lindell, because, you know, Kari Lake alone, not crazy enough. Right. So we throw in a little Mike Lindell.
Throw in a pillow salesman, because why not?
Throw in a pillow salesman. They are attacking voting machines. They want to ban voting machines in Arizona and around the country.
Is there any recourse for frivolous lawsuits like this?
Look, what's amazing about the Republican bar is they get sanctioned and it's like, yeah, okay. They get indicted and it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. They get disbarred. Like they just kind of like build it all in. It's kind of like Donald Trump has built in like being a criminal defendant into his campaign schedule.
Right.
If you're a Republican lawyer now, you just kind of like build in a certain it
becomes a prerequisite at some point.
Yeah. Because let's be clear, Lake and her attorneys have already been sanctioned. Like they've already been sanctioned for bringing this case at the lower court. So like, and DemocracyDocket covers this from time to time, and we never know how much air to give it. But like, we have instances where some of the Republican lawyers in Arizona are like, you know what? Someone has to get sanctioned in this case, and I'm an older lawyer, so I'll take this one and I'll get sanctioned. I mean, who does that?
Well, whenever we talk about Carri Lake, I feel like it's important to ask, just for the benefit of the viewers, has she joined the rest of us on planet Earth and admitted that she lost the 2022 gubernatorial election, or is she still in court pushing these bogus voter fraud claims?
No, she's not on planet Earth. And one of the things that drives me crazy, and it's one of the things that, frankly, I love about you, Brian, and all of the videos on your channel, and I hope everyone watches everyone on this channel, is, you don't fall for the head fakes. I mean, the mainstream media, like a few weeks ago, was like, oh, look, Kari Lake is becoming more mainstream. Kari Lake is not becoming more mainstream. She's now with Mike Lindell in the Supreme Court. It's like Snoop. It's like what's his name with the football? Charlie Brown with the football. Yeah. It's like Charlie Brown with the football. Right? I mean, like the mainstream media just wants there to be this like redemption story that Donald Trump is no longer an election denier, totally an election denier. Kari Lake is somehow moderating, totally not moderating. Kari Lake is still insisting, she is in court, that she won the gubernatorial election, even as she now is running for Senate.
Well, while we're on the topic of news sources that have their heads screwed on straight, for those watching right now, I definitely want to recommend that anybody watching sign up for DemocracyDocket. It's the free news outlet Mark founded to focus on everything voting in elections. I use it on a daily basis. It is the best legal newsletter that there is. So I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Completely free. Great way to support Mark and his team. Mark, what does this cast of characters who are involved in this lawsuit and these lawsuits more broadly, the Kari Lakes, the Mike Lindells, tell you about today's GOP?
It shows you that the Republican Party is worse than it's ever been. And I know that's hard for people to hear. Like, people want I understand why the mainstream media wants to write this kind of like counter narrative redemption story, but it's just not true. I mean, if you think about your middle of the center point of the House Republican conference in 2020, when Donald Trump was last running, and compare that to the middle of their conference today, that person is way more crazy than they were before.
Yeah.
And that's true not just in Congress. It's true not just look at the Senate candidates who they're fielding. Senate candidates who would have been, Marino would have been 4 years ago viewed as so outside the mainstream. Now he's like the toast of Mitch McConnell's NRSC in Ohio. They are getting worse and worse. And the lawyers are reflecting that. As you said, it is now a badge of honor for them to be viewed as unethical and be subject to sanction and disbarment. And so I don't know the way out of this other than to defeat Donald Trump soundly in 2024 and make Republicans realize that there is no future in continuing down this road of living in an absolute alternative universe.
And by the way, that is normally what being routed at the ballot box does. It kind of gives you a kick in the ass to let you know that, like, okay, what we're doing isn't working. We have to change our ways if we want to be viable as a party. But because they engaged so deeply in election denialism and pretended that they won elections that they lost without actually trying to reach people and change their minds, well, now it's just going to get worse for them. And the people that they ran the last election cycle, the Herschel Walkers and Dr. Oz's and Don Boldicks and Kari Lake and Doug Mastrianos, instead of helping themselves and recognizing that these people are not viable as electoral candidates because they've fooled themselves into thinking that the election was stolen from them when it wasn't, now they're just going to continue running these people and continue losing at the ballot box.
Absolutely. And that is the tragedy of where we are as a democracy. As much as we laugh about it, as much as, we joke about how crazy Mike Lindell is and, his pillow sales and problems, and as crazy as Carri Lake is. And before the two of them, we were talking about Rudy Giuliani and standing outside of the Four Seasons
total landscaping in between a sex shop and I can't even remember what was on the other side of that place.
A crematorium.
Yeah. A crematorium. Of course it was a crematorium.
Right. We've been laughing so long about how terrible their lawyers are and how the candidates they choose are just not electable. But at some point, it becomes really, really dangerous to have a democracy in which only one party can win. Because if the other party wins, then the whole thing collapses, like democracy goes away. And you look at who Donald Trump is surrounding himself with. Do you have any doubt that if Donald Trump were to win, that there wouldn't be a place for a Carri Lake in the Donald Trump administration?
Not at all.
Yeah, and so the work of that my team does in court, that hundreds of thousands of people do around the country to make sure that we have free and fair elections is so vitally important. But I've talked to you so often, and in this episode in particular, about the role of the media, because the media also has a responsibility here, and I don't want to lecture them because they're going to do what they're going to do. But boy, I wish there were more people doing what you're doing, Brian, because you are one of the few people who every day in, day out, is calling balls and strikes and not trying to wish the game to be closer, not trying to wish one team to be less crazy than it is.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Marc, is it wise for Mike Lindell to be making these claims when there are defamation lawsuits pending by Dominion Voting Systems and Smartmatic?
No, of course it's not wise. I think he does it wise. It's not wise to bring stupid cases to begin with. It's not wise, to defame people. It's not wise to, he has been involved in several cases now. I think there's a judgment against him from another guy. None of this is wise. But I don't think they're doing it because they're wise. I think they're doing it either because they can't help themselves, they are caught up in something that they may not even understand, or because they're in on some overarching, they just think this is like promoting them in some way, but it's really harmful to the country. And so I wish it would end.
I want to finish off with this. I want to game out what would happen if they actually got their way with this lawsuit, for example, where they try to ban voting machines. So what are next steps in terms of accomplishing the Herculean task of counting 150 million ballots and also doing it without early voting because they don't want early voting, and also having the full results available on election day?
Oh, it's impossible. You've hit the main hypocrisy point. So I want people to hear it. It's the same people who say they want full hand counts are the people who are saying, but they need the election results that night, right? The same people who are saying, why does it take Arizona a few days to tabulate all of their ballots using machines, are the people who are saying we could hand count them, but we need them all hand counted on election day. You simply can't do it. A hand count is never going to be as fast as a machine count. It just isn't. I mean, the machines, particularly with optical scan ballots, it can count them at a speed that, human beings simply can't. So if you had a system of all hand counting, it would take weeks upon weeks upon weeks for the ballots to be counted.
Yeah, well, I guess there's never any shortage of a lack of logic here, but that didn't stop him before. With that said, for those watching right now, again, to support the invaluable work that Marc and his team are doing, all we ask is that you sign up for DemocracyDocket. It's a free news outlet Marc founded to focus on everything voting elections. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.